Welcome back to SPD 911. I am your host, Dr. Jake Taylor Jacobs, President and COO of SIPS Healthcare Solutions. In this show, we're all about tackling the toughest challenges in sterile processing. Whether you're on the front lines or making high level decisions, we're here to equip you with real solutions to rescue and evaluate your department. Each episode, I'm joined by our Director of Clinical Compliance, the Sharon Greene-Golden, a leader in compliance and regulatory standards in sterile processing, and our Director of Clinical Operations, Derrick Jones, a specialist in operational efficiency and team development. Together, we break down the critical issues affecting CSPD departments and provide actionable strategies to help you stay ahead. SPD 911 isn't just a show, it is your emergency response team for sterile processing. We tackle compliance concerns, streamline operations, and help you grow as a leader in the field. If you want to participate live and ask your questions, join the Executive Edge community. It's free and the only way to engage with us directly. Every episode will break down compliance and operational issues with expert guidance because when it comes to sterile processing, every decision matters. Join us live every week on Wednesday at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time to catch the greatest CSP live show on planet Earth. What's going on, y'all?
How are you today?
I'm doing I'm doing fantastic. It's raining and gloomy outside, and my children these last 2 days for some reason having a coup to figure out how far they can take their father. So if y'all are looking for any children to finish the summer, let me know because I'm willing to share.
All right. I'm doing fair for a square. Let's go. Got my cardinal red on. It's not because my hair messed up and I got to get it together, but it's all good.
Okay. And I have my little workout outfit on, and SGG, of course, is looking as lovely and
Right.
golden as possible. Living
Wow.
my life like it's gold. We need a theme song just for SGG.
Uh,
Living my life like it's golden. Living my life like
Right.
it's golden.
Living my
Yeah.
life like it's that's
uh-huh.
it. That's the one.
Absolutely.
All right. So before we start the show, I just want to hear one thing that you're grateful for this week. DJ, go first.
Man, I'm grateful for life, opportunities to share with my family, my kids, and just, man, health again. I'm always cognizant of health and being better each moment, having the good, clear mind. And man, I'm just, man, just to get to wake up and have an opportunity to keep pursuing my dreams. So
That's
I'm
right.
grateful for that.
I love that. SGG.
Well, I'm grateful for about all the same things. We don't have any rain here today, thank God. And I just got back from working out at the gym, so I got to do that. So
Hmm.
it's all
Yeah.
good.
And hey,
So
listen to you all that we're not here. We just celebrated our 20-year anniversary in Dallas. And
Yes.
SGG got them finger waves in, baby. I'm talking about they laying and they spraying. You hear me? A couple of things I'm grateful for. One, this Saturday, I'm actually getting inducted into my high school basketball Hall of Fame. So I'm extremely excited
Yeah.
about that
Congratulations.
because it's something that I didn't even look forward to. I didn't even think it was possible, but to be able to have something that you've done and history says that you did
Yeah.
it well is always
that's
important.
a good thing.
Yes,
Right.
and then lastly, man, my investments are up in the stock market today, so
Uh,
I'm excited. And I want to thank DJ. DJ kind of gave me the nudge. We were in where were we?
Boston,
We
Boston.
were we were in Boston, and he was showing me his investment portfolio. And typically, if anyone knows my off time outside of SIPs, we turn around underperforming businesses and I buy them. And when he was kind of breaking down, his stock market, for some reason, after all this time of me being in business development, it clicked. And so when we left Boston, I was just literally evaluating companies. I geeked out and I
Yeah.
picked about 7 companies that all are up today when I got into the market. So I'm excited.
Man.
And I also want to point
Yeah.
out why it's important to have people in your circle that you're communing with that can push you to continue to do other things. So I'm excited about that.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, maybe one day at the Stips at a scrub ball conference, we can have a little skill set training for those that work hard in sterile processing but want to grow their hard-earned money.
Yes,
That allows for them to do what they love and still be able to ensure that they have a legacy in the future. I think we should probably think about doing
man.
something.
I think that'd be great. Yes, sir. Yes,
S-
sir.
Look, SUG look like she looking at her phone and say, "Well, in my stock, I am."
Look,
So,
I'm just saying, didn't nobody invite me to go get no stock? I know I'm
well,
gonna
what? No,
it's
SUG. Listen,
coming. It's
me,
coming.
me and DJ, we're working on a system here. Once we get the system together, we're gonna let everybody know. We working on this time. We got you, girl. We got you. So today's show, we got a little bit of a handful of SUG and DJ. So I'm gonna be spending this time just hosting the show, letting you guys kind of talk a lot more today. Because this is about something that really only people that have been in the field, I believe, have a lot of input. And today's show is about being alone, overworked, and undervalued.
Mhm.
Um, Working in sterile processing within departments. I have a little bit of input that I want to talk about, but for the most part, I would love to be able to hear what you all have to say. So we're going to get right into the scenario. If you all don't know how our show works, we break down scenarios that's brought to us either from the people that are participating in our executive edge community with SPD 911, or we're looking online. We're in sterile processing groups where people are asking questions, and when people don't have the answers, we bring them to the show and we answer them on the show. So if you want us to explain or break down a scenario that you're going through, and you want to hear from SGG and DJ how they will go about maneuvering or handling it, please, by all means, do it. So today's first scenario is the certification catch 22. The no experience, no job. And the scenario is a DJ and SGG. SPD grads are as of recently being denied jobs due to lack of experience, but yet can't gain experience without being hired. Um, so the question is, how can the industry solve this cycle and support new SPD techs entering the field?
Um, First of all, this is not uh, a new issue. This is an issue that's been uh, uh, prevalent in sterile processing since they started,
Mm,
because it is a technically OJT job performance. As we evolved, they put constraints on who could come in and actually work. And so they no longer said you could come in off the street and just start working. We needed you to have some type of experience.
right.
That is why HSPA has a 400-hour requirement for certification to try to take care of that particular requirement. As we have evolved and become professional, when you become professional, the rules change.
Yep.
And so, just like someone that graduates from law school can't go running out and start put law, they can say they're a lawyer, but they can't hang their shingle out legally and start taking people on until they actually pass the bar and they've done some time, some work. So, experience is required. What some hospitals do is they have programs set up, because this is such a specialized area, where you can come in and do your 400 hours, which is what I used to do. Do your 400 hours. And then, as positions become available at that institution or within that health system, they would hire you because you were trained on their job site. Um, it is something that is hard, because we're fighting two battles, DJ and Dr. J. We're fighting the battle of we want to be recognized as a profession. We're fighting the battle that we want to be paid what we're worth. We're fighting the battle that in order to get those two things done, we can't just say you can come in off the street and start working. So in job descriptions, they have changed now to where they say you have to have, I think it's between 2 years 1 to 2 years actual experience before they will hire you. And even though all the states do not require certification, a hospital can. And most hospitals have started saying you must be certified, and I want you to have some experience. So, what can we do as a profession? It's kind of individualized by the actual hospital. As a manager, I can go to my direct VPs and upper suite and say, would you allow me, if I'm training, to bring these people on with jobs once they pass their certification? Would you hire them? Which is what I've been able to do. Thankfully, I was blessed with C-suite presidents that allowed me to bring people on. Now, I prefer to bring people on I've trained, Dr. Jake, because they don't know but one way. That's mine.
That's right.
And I don't have to retrain them. I don't have to take them in and do a debriefing on what they learned in New York. I can just say, we're going to do what you've learned. It makes it easier. I will say that I've hired many technicians that way. So if managers could go to their C-suite group and say, we really need help, because we need help now. We're aging out and there's positions coming available. So what we have to now do is come with a solution. Let us grow our own, which a lot of hospitals are doing. They're making their own technicians. And when you graduate from my course, you got a job. But you
Okay.
have to be willing to do that. So DJ, jump in there, because that's where I'm at.
Well, you made a great point. I think the industries need to look at creating a pre-apprenticeship program for younger individuals or technicians that would like to get into healthcare as a whole, but that can see this industry and how sterile processing works before taking on the career as a viable job or career opportunity. What this will do is this will provide the exposure. They'll be able to meet with technicians that are in the trade. They'll be able to meet with hospital leadership, see what the industry does as a whole, see how it impacts patient care, and look at some of the complexity of the instruments they're working with, some of the equipment, and all of the above. So it can spark an interest, right? Once we could spark interest in the career trade, then that pre-apprenticeship program should lead into the actual trade, which is what we provide here at SIPS, which is the 12-week course. At that point, we got engagement, right? We got connection with that potential new technician and candidate. And we can show a pathway as to other areas there can grow from just a pre-apprenticeship level of entering that program, becoming a certified technician. And maybe at that point, if we engage with a hospital chain or network, that we could say, hey, this is a person that's interested in sterile processing. Here are some of the steps with our pre-apprenticeship program that we've gone through to see that they're qualified. Here are some of the assessments. Here are some of the exposures. They are now actively into class. They are on week 3 of the course, and we can just provide high level engagement for that student and that hospital so that they could see that this potential new candidate and hire or new hire is proactive in achieving certification and eligible for a job prior to getting that certification. So I think we need to look at it as a way of sort of like some of the things we do when we assess other career opportunities, right? Create exposure in the initial state and see how much the actual technician that's looking to get into the course or get a job in sterile processing is willing to take those steps in education to become a technician and get that job.
So one of the things when I saw this scenario and I was processing this question too, one of the things we have to consider is also knowing the market that you're in. All hospitals are not created the same. Some hospitals have more funding, others don't. When we look at the average community hospital only produces 34 million a year. So when I say only 34 million a year, you have to understand how many people and vendors and businesses and services and technology and equipments and instruments are involved in even running a singular hospital. So when we talk about $34 million, you're talking about a small, medium-sized business.
Mhm.
And so if you're getting your certification and wanting to get into said industry, you have to also consider where you are and be okay with traveling. I didn't say becoming a traveler, a specialized, trained, experienced technician, but traveling to a market that is more befitting for you and your family. And when I talk to leaders that have found their hunting holes, that they consider, like, where they found more upward progression, even you, SGG, was not from home.
That's right.
SGG said for more than a decade, she didn't even live at her home. She worked somewhere else and
Yes.
visited her home. And
Yes.
so when we're talking about opportunities, finding the opportunities are not always comfortable with where you are. You have to go where there are more jobs and opportunities. So what I would suggest is, before you even get a certification, get on that map, get on Google, and find where there are more jobs available and what hospitals and organizations have those jobs. And to your point, DJ, we do specialize when it comes to SIPs, and not only educating people to get certified, we already have partnerships with hospitals that we can feed our people through.
Mhm.
And it's important that we understand that, because we have a trusted learning system. So when they're coming from us, most of our people aren't even getting to finish their 400 hours. They're being picked up at 100, 200 hours. So that's also another thing to consider. All certifications and trainings are not considered equal. Just
That's
because
right.
you have the same certification, you also need to consider who's actually certifying you and training you, so that that name has enough weight to help get you jobs and opportunities for those hours. SGG, you agree?
I do agree. And I do agree that it is very important as to who is actually teaching and running your course. Because when that gets out into the atmosphere, when the different hospitals hear about it and they hear your pass rate and they hear about how well your students function once they come in, they will pick them up.
That's
I
right.
want to say that as a ongoing issue, because like you say, every hospital, every state is different. And I'm old. When I was in hospital, I became a CNA out of high school. My last year of high school, I went to school in the afternoon. I went to the hospital and did CNA training every day, Monday through
Mm,
Friday. So that once I graduated, I had a job.
that's right.
And so we've kind of gotten away from that. But like here in Newport News, they do have the school where they teach CNA, they teach welding. We have to go and push for having this course put into these programs so that we can train some young people. Everybody's not going to be a doctor, a nurse, a lawyer right out of high school,
That's
but
right.
at least they could learn and do a job very well that they're able to do. So I think that uh, those of us that complain about there's nowhere for people to go and learn, we have to be the advocates to push for this. You go down to your school board and you throw that nugget out there. Have you ever thought about putting this course in? Because we're going to need people within the hospitals that we have, and they're just not out there on the street. And we can no longer take you off the street. I understand. People say, Sharon Greene-Golden, she was very good in the kitchen. She could boil the egg, and we're going to send her to SPD. We no longer can do that. We have got to make sure that you have the education, the basic information behind what it is you're going to do in sterile processing, because at the end of the day, what you do impacts a patient's life. So for those that are on the Ferris wheel saying what isn't being done, I would say to you, what are you doing to help modify and motivate your school systems to help us get these programs into the system until we get them into, they're getting there. They're getting into the community colleges. That's where we're on our way. We're on our way to, I'm sorry to say, to a degree and a basic associate's degree, because that's what this world requires.
Yep. And to add to that, DJ, I know you're about to go. I'll wait. Go ahead, DJ.
No, I was just going to say, and still, I still think there's an opportunity to expose people. I mean, you got people working in hospitals that still doesn't understand or even know that there is a sterile processing department in the hospital, let alone it is what we're doing. So the exposure as well can often be lost, you know.
Yep. And I think that one, SGG said something our very first time sharing the stage, DJ. And she looked out to that crowd and she said, we all wanted this to be a profession. Here very soon, you're going to have an associate's degree to even be able to get in.
Yes.
And it's because when you start looking at the diversity of what makes up these now sterile processing departments with these vendors like Stryker and all these other companies and Steris, they're bringing in people with bachelors and masters and even PhDs and doctorates to come and run inside of the SPD. So when you're talking about it used to be on the job training type of thing, get in where you fit in, we need help. Now because technology's been involved, now because of COVID, sterilization and those numbers are starting to hit those metrics where they're starting to realize it does affect the hospital. Now they're starting to understand that you just can't be somebody that's just good at the job anymore. You have to have emotional intelligence and communication skills because, OR to SPD all across the country, they're trying to fix it. They're just butting heads with communication. Eventually something happens where the hospital systems or the industry says that communication from OR to SPD or from materials to SPD or packing to SPD or GI and endo departments to SPD, that communication skill can't be so drastic anymore as far as the communication or language of communicating. And so, yes, people are going to have to be forced to do a little bit more to just get into the same job that used to be the same thing back then. So it's almost like this gift and this curse. It's the I want it to be taken serious. Now I have to take me serious. And when you are lacking resources around you, you have to get resourceful in finding the opportunities for you versus waiting for somebody to provide you the job.
Yes. And that's what I used to do. When we were short of staff, I would go to the C-suite and say, we're short of staff, but there's nobody on the corner with a sign saying we'll work for food. We'll work for SPD. Looking for SPD. The good SPD workers have a job. So I went to the C-suite and said, would you allow us to run the course here? And as we run the course, as they graduate, would you allow us to hire them into these positions? And they're coming in with no experience. We understand that. And like you say, DJ, it's almost like an internship. But we're going to train them. And by us training them, we get something out of this. Number one, we got the help that we need. And it was after the course completed. I want everybody to know I didn't just take people. They gave me 400 sweat equity-free hours. I knew if they were committed. I knew if they were consistent. I knew if they were teachable. And I could say, you know what? I'm a hire DJ because he's committed, consistent, and teachable. And he knows this department already. We're already ahead. When you bring a new person in, you've got to bring them up to speed. When you hire who you've trained, they're already coming in at 35 miles an hour. You just got to bring them up to a higher speed. So I think that is something for those who ask that question that you can work on, but you have to be willing to do your due diligence to make it happen.
Yep, that's right on the money. And that actually takes us to scenario number 2. The one-man shift problem. When you're left alone. And the scenario is night shift SPD techs are often left to handle full loads solo with no relief or support from the day shift. The question is, SCG and DJ, what protections or protocols should be in place for solo shifts to ensure safety, quality, and sanity?
Well, I guess number one, I want to say that I don't know about this question. It's kind of easy. Number one, you have a job description. Number two, you have a list of duties to be done on that shift. And you have to make sure that what you're asking that person to do by themselves, they're able to do by themselves. I used to have what I called a priority list. My night shift was only responsible for these 5 things and an emergency case. That makes sense to DJ. We weren't trying to paint walls. We weren't trying to deliver supplies to nobody. Our job was to get those sterilizers and all the equipment, number one, cleared to be able to be used in the morning. Number two, they picked add-on cases as needed emergently. They took care of emergency cases that were done. If we did lap choles all night long, then their job was to get those instruments decontaminated and clean so that when the next shift came in, they could put them back together. So I think that if you're going to leave me by myself, you have to have a clear game plan as to what it is I'm supposed to do. And my OR staff has to know what the game plan is, because that communication has to be very clear. They have a 9 o'clock add-on case. Night shift person isn't going to pick that case. That's not on our list. That will be done by the first person in the morning, because it's a 9 a.m. case. So I think that Dr. Jake, you say it a lot. Leadership is important on this. You have to lead, and in leading, you have to back up what you say your team is doing at night. And you have to be sure that the powers above you are backing you up on what you say your night shift is doing. It is not fair to leave them there by themselves and expect one person to do the work that took 9 people on every other shift.
So DJ, I'm gonna spin it for you.
Yep.
This person is not a leader. This person is not even a team lead. This person is a tech 2 that's left to work that night shift. How do they navigate communicating that? And if that's the case, you can already assume that the culture is probably shoddy. So how do they navigate that, SGG and DJ? I want DJ to answer that and SGG to back it.
Yep. So the biggest thing is first, you have to discover the right mode for communication, meaning is it email chain? Is it phone call from your upline, your supervisor? Who's your direct contact to get and support your decisions? Second, there should always be some sort of a checklist in place, like SGG mentioned, that can always lead to what's priority, how to prioritize what needs to be done. Third, you need policies, procedures, and standard work. That can always guide you into doing things the correct way. If it involves running equipment, how to process trays, having access to instructions for use and manufacturer's recommendations and IFUs, and then communicate what is being done. See, what SGG mentioned earlier, quite often you get superheroes in SPD that really want to do more. Their goal is to complete 700 basic sets by 7 a.m. in the morning, but maybe we didn't need the basic sets. Maybe we needed the ortho loaner sitting over in the corner. So being able to understand what's needed and prioritize and communicate what you've done will, number one, it'll create a calming effect to yourself to only understand that I only need to do what's required for me to do, not overkill or try to complete everything. Number two, you'll have a guide in your standard work, your documentation, and your policies to help guide you to say, hey, this is the hospital policy. Here's the department policy. Here's the department procedures. I followed these to complete these tasks. That's your protection. And then number three, communicating to your upline leadership. Let's just say all of your leaders walked off, your manager walked off, and your supervisor walked off. There's someone in control, your nursing director, your nursing leader, your charge nurse. Hey, here are the things that I completed last night to ensure that we had the best opportunity to provide the trays and the products you needed for your cases. And then follow up.
We're task driven.
Yes.
We're task driven. Letting people know what tasks they are responsible for and backing them up to do those tasks is what you do when you only have one person on night shift. This is what we're required to do. This is what you will do. And you have a contingency plan for an emergency that comes up because things happen. But when you have a contingency plan, you have to, the key words we're using here is follow through.
Yep.
So the contingency plan was, this is what this one person can do. But should we get to a point that they begin to drown, they've got to call the cavalry, which usually starts with the manager, and say, listen, the water is rising. Now, as a manager, and I'm old school, I'm telling them the cavalry's on the way. I'm coming. If it's something that someone up in the OR can help with, I'm calling the OR saying, could you go downstairs and pick that add-on case? Because Sharon is down there by herself and she can't get your tray ready for 7:30 and pick the case. Mm-hmm. That's the communication piece. The OR said, no, I can't go downstairs. Okay, we good. Because now in my position, I have a contingency plan. Somebody's on their way.
Yeah.
You know, but then Dr. Jake, you would say every hospital isn't able to do that. But I think you can put contingency plans in place if you talk to your upper management and tell them what you need. I have somebody on call. We're paying them on call. And tonight is the night. And so I called DJ and say, DJ, it's 1 a.m. The river's rising. Get into the SPD because we need the extra help in order to function in the morning. So I think that we don't always think everything all the way out the way we should. Yeah. We do leave people there to drown. We leave them there. They're frustrated, they're disgusted, they're depressed, and they want to quit. And they're not doing their best work because they're trying to do 10 jobs that takes 10 people and they're only one.
Yeah, and I think in the spirit of just the nature of healthcare, it's an extremely, everyone is reactionary. It's like we wait until versus being proactive to ensure that, you know, these protocols and things are in place. So, you know, to the person that is a tech two that asks us this, you know, scenario that oftentimes you get caught by yourself at night. One, I will always say documentation rules the nation. You want to document not to expose, but document to be able to further communicate. Because when you say I'm always by myself, the first question they're going to ask you, when was the last time you were by yourself? When you say the other day, they're going to say, oh, that's not the issue of the other day. But if you have a law that says, well, actually, this is the Bible, y'all. But actually, you pull out that log and you say, oh, on the 28th, the 9th, the 30th, 31st, there's not a second, the first. When you begin to do that and log it, it's so that you have something to communicate. Let me tell you why it's important. A great leader logs everything.
Yes.
If you are operating any organization from just memory alone, you're already losing. I log everything. I log every conversation. I log when I communicate with somebody. I log the last thing someone said, simply because I never know when I need to go back to those notes to be able to anchor what I previously said that may have been dismissed. But these are the things that you use to protect yourself and also stand your ground. You cannot stand your ground if you don't have evidence to support it. The second thing, SGG say this all the time, every day. I feel like if you're in this space, you have to know the rules to the game.
Mm-hmm.
Amy standards are your regulation and your rules. That's how you play the game. And the best players in any game know the rules and how to play it. So
Yes.
if I'm doing a night shift, I'm being asked to do something higher production or whatever. But if that Amy standard says I'm supposed to be operating at this pace and I can't go over there, yes, sir. If I got to get it done, who are you? Dr. Booty Boo. All right, write your name down here, Dr. Booty Boo. Said here, can you initial right here? Because as SGG said, we finna have a lawsuit. I just want to make sure that I just want to make sure that Dr. Booty Boo, you said you in charge, Dr. Booty Boo. All right, Dr. Booty Boo. Dr. Booty Boo said he's in charge. It is 12:49. Okay, I'll get this done. However, Amy standards state that I cannot. Let me tell you. It will rub people wrong, but when you're consistently that way, they'll learn to trust you and they'll learn to lean on you.
That's true.
This is why you have to have a standard that you live by. And one of the biggest things I always say to anyone, I don't have a person to report to. I have God to report to. And I never want to go to my prayers at the end of the night and have to report to God. And I got to tell God that I allowed anyone to allow for me to compromise what I know is right or wrong.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And so for you, you have to be known as someone that stands on standards and regulatory things, regardless of your position or how you feel. Now, what this will put you in, it'll put you in a catch-22. Because if you're not ready to live that life by the standard, when you get caught outside doing something outside of the standard and regulatory recommendations, that credibility that you have will be shot faster than you can imagine. So once that light is on you, it is on you. But if you raise to the level of the light and you truly want a real career in sterile process, and it's not just a job for you, this is something that you have to be able to abide by long term.
The other thing is that you have to use the tools that are available. And I want to say the number one tool, I want to say that again to the tech that asked this question, is what did your job description say your duties are? What are your expectations from that job? Have they given them to you written? Have they told you what is expected of you on the night shift? Not hearsay, not somebody told me. Mm-hmm. Did your manager, supervisor give you a piece of paper that says, this is what we expect you to do when you are here by yourself?
That's good.
Now, when it's you and DJ, these are the expectations. But when you're here by yourself, this is what you're expected to do. And guess what? Here's your checklist. Check it off as you go. Mm-hmm. And you keep a copy always, as Dr. Jake says. You always keep a copy so that you can come to the table and say, I did everything on this checklist. They came down here and asked me, could I come and hold the leg in the OR? And I looked at my list, and it didn't say nothing about me leaving here and going to the OR and holding the leg. So if that's what you need for me to do, because we are asked to do things outside of our realm of work,
that's good.
I have to call somebody and get clearance. Just hold on a minute. I'm getting ready to call DJ and say, DJ, the SPD is going to be empty because the OR asked me to come and hold the leg while they prep the patient. And that's not on my list. I was in the middle of doing a test. Do you clear me to go hold the leg?
That's good. That's good.
Okay. So now you put down, you talk to DJ at 1 a.m. He said, go hold the leg. You put the sign up on the door says SPD is empty, gone to the OR. And you go and you hold the leg because at that moment, that's what everybody says is important. But tomorrow, when everybody gets themselves together, they're going to forget that was important at 1 a.m. And they're going to throw you under the bus.
The bus.
That's when you come with your piece of paper.
Ooh, that's good.
That's when you come with your piece of paper and say, wait a minute.
Booty boo.
I was doing my job. And y'all asked me to come hold the leg, and I called my manager, and he didn't want, he said, go hold the leg. I went and held the leg. In fact, I got the nurse to sign off on my paper that I was in here holding the leg from 1:30 to 2:15. I was helping the OR. Now, in the morning, my work isn't done because I was in the OR for 35 minutes doing something that isn't even in my job description.
Yeah.
You cover yourself, and then people will understand, as Dr. Jake says, I call it integrity, that you not only have integrity, but you have enough sense to say, I'm not only just going to repeat what I thought happened, I wrote this down in real time. That's what you have to do until they fix it. And you have to be willing to speak up and say, do you all realize what you're asking me to do by myself? I'm trying, but every night I'm short of doing these 3 things right here because there's not enough time.
Right.
Legally, I get a 30-minute lunch break. You can't tell me to work through my lunch.
Yep.
So yes, I'm taking my 30-minute lunch break, but some of you all out there work through your lunch. You do all these things, and now you're mad. Let your job description, let the policies and procedures, let those cover you and do the best that you can do.
Now there's a go ahead, DJ.
No, I just want to say y'all can't keep blaming Dr. Booty Boo now. Leave him alone.
But there is a balance. Doing it, keeping track and notation and all of that, to be spiteful will never get you anywhere.
Right.
But keeping a track to keep people well aware and alarmed to habits that we're having is something that will be more acceptable and more appreciated. So how you do anything is how you do everything. So if you're doing it with the right heart and intention to say, hey, listen, I'm not keeping track just to be able to prove a point so I can put y'all in the corner. I'm keeping track because everyone's busy. And a lot of times we forget that you came down here and yelled at me because you went upstairs, you celebrated, surgery was great, you went to sleep, woke up, your children fed them, you forgot, you literally had the conversation with me. But now in the 9 a.m., I'm getting blamed for what wasn't processed when it took me 4 hours to process what you asked me. So these are the things that we have to make sure that we're paying attention to. And that job description will definitely be something that is your value add. Now, what I will say, if you're going to be skipping your food and your lunch and your break for whatever, you can't celebrate skipping it when it benefits you and then complain about it when it doesn't.
True.
So how you do anything is how you do everything. So you have to remember everything is good in reason. Sometimes you may say, hey, I'm working my 30 days so I can leave 30 minutes early. I'm working my 30 lunch so I can leave 30 early, or we're tight right now, but hey, this is not something to expect of me every day. I'm letting you know today is the day I'll help. But please understand that either one, these lunch 30 minutes are going to add up to OT when we look at the end of the month or something else. But you have to be balanced and mindful of that. And the last thing I want to bring up, DJ, you brought it up. You said that hero effect. The number one killer of any organization is when people want to be the hero without getting the okay. So you go and say, I'm gonna clean up all of this because I want the department to be great. I want everyone to be happy. But that was your emergency. That wasn't the department's emergency that needed to be fixed. So now you're telling your lead or your manager, I did all of this. In their mind, that wasn't that big of an issue in comparison to this over here that I asked you to do. And so you have to make sure that when you're going above and beyond, that you're communicating with others that are going to say, hey, go ahead and knock it out. You got extra time, knock it out. That definitely help us out a lot. But you got to make sure that you're communicating, because if you do it with the expectation to be seen and you don't get seen in the way that you want to, you can't tuck your tail and be mad at that either, because you didn't communicate in the beginning why you were doing something and get the okay for help. I just wanted to make sure I brought that up before we moved on. So Here's your favorite part, DJ. Scenario number 3. This is gonna be the last scenario of the day. Scenario number 3. Instrument hoarded by the OR. The just in case mentality. Scenario 3. The OR hoards backup trays just in case. Just in case I don't make it home tonight. Let me make love to you for the last time, baby. All right. So, OR hoards backup trays just in case, leaving SPD short and scrambling for scheduled procedures. How can SPD address instrument hoarding while maintaining trust and cooperation with the OR? Ooh, that's good.
Well, you have to show a direct correlation as to how it impacts case scheduling and in the need in the moment and when that tray is needed for emergency or when tracing or trying to find that tray. I'll give you an example. If you only have 3 of a kind sets and you have 4 cases on the schedule, and maybe an OR nurse hides one in their special stash, one of those trays in their stash. Our department, sterile processing, cannot accurately build those case carts and fill the needs of a pick sheet. So we're impacting 2 different systems in place to be able to support the OR in need in that particular moment of time, because we don't have accuracy and we don't have hands on that set. Furthermore, hoarding sets is often difficult for our teams in sterile processing to be able to gauge missing instruments, tray defects, monitor the sterility of that tray to see if it's been compromised or the sterilization cycle has been compromised at any point due to an OR personnel hoarding or hiding that set. So it really should be a system in place for us to monitor it all the way up until it makes that case cart or enters that OR, so that we can have full accountability as to all things involving that set before it is exposed into the OR room for that patient. And we have to be able to show that, right? We have to be able to show errors. We have to be able to show the gaps and the disconnects and the challenges we have as leadership in sterile processing and how it affects our departments and the OR.
That's good. That's good.
Hoarding. Hoarding is something that is done in every OR that I've ever been in. How do we address it for cases? Now, as we have learned to communicate better, one of the things we can do, most ORs have a morning meeting. You go to your morning meeting, this is just a suggestion, and you say, today we're going to need 5 appendectomy sets. SPD has been able to track down 4. We can move no further till we find that fifth appendectomy set OR. It's not in the SPD. So we know it's up here. So we're asking everybody to go into their OR room, touch every tray you got in there, and bring that appendectomy tray out to the hallway so that we can put it on the case cart. I think that we have to have here too contingency plans. And so I've been in hospitals where we they book cases according to the instrumentation that they actually have. And so you have to know where it is. The tracking system allows us to know that on March the 31st, appendectomy set number 5 went to the OR and has never returned. So we start in the OR looking for it. Now, what used to be a part of the issue was everybody said, who's looking? SPD is the one that's going to get the bullet. So we're coming to the OR and looking for the tray. I would take my 2 or 3 of my team members and say, we're going to touch every tray in the OR because the appendectomy tray is in the OR. And then we'd find it. We bring it back to the SPD, scan it back in. Because when you know where it is, you can deal with it. When you don't know where it is, you hold up a patient's case. So, and then when we have our meetings, I'm talking about meetings where the OR and SPD get together, we talk about hoarding. That hoarding doesn't help either one of us. If we're all looking for a tray, I'm looking in SPD where it isn't. You're looking in the OR kind of, because they only look in their spot. They don't go look in anybody else's spot. Then we're wasting time and we could impact the patient. So there are different ways, Dr. Jake, in this field that you can address hoarding, but it always requires management to make it happen. I can't make it happen by myself. I've got to go talk to the director and say, listen, you know the OR, you know Lucy keep hiding the tray in her locker. I mean, I've had nurses hide instruments in their lockers with a lock on it. Now I can't even get in the locker to get it. So I need management to say, everybody open your lockers, bring everything out that is not your hat and your coat. Give us our instruments back, because we need the instruments to do the cases. You know, we used to tell people, if you don't know where a tray goes, don't find a home for it. Because I'm never going to look where you thought it goes. It's an orthopedic tray and you got it on the neuro shelf. I'm not going to the neuro shelf looking for the orthopedic tray. Leave it on this cart right here. Have a cart where people can put trays they don't know where they belong. Send the SPD staff up once or twice a day to bring those trays back downstairs. You can help the hoarding situation, but it takes some work.
Yeah. And to remember, old habits die slow. Staying patient and stay in communication. The worst thing to do is to start off strong with communication and then stop talking at all, because it reminds people that it's really not that important. Think about it like a child reminds their parents. If you tell that child you're going to go somewhere, y'all are going to do something, and it doesn't happen, they're going to worry your tail every minute, every day, every hour, to eventually where you're like, okay, I know I said I was going to do it. Okay, fine, let's go. And so you have to find a way to do that within your profession as well, because a lot of being a professional, SPD 911 and all of our platforms are to elevate the thinking of all of the professionals that are in sterile processing to think like a leader. We document so that we can be able to speak from something with facts. We communicate so that no one's assuming that someone else knows something, because assume-aside is the number one killer of all things. When aside is to kill off, assume is to suggest that you think that you know what somebody's thinking. And the best thing to do is to be open in communication. And the third thing that you need to make sure that you have is empathy, putting yourself in that other person's shoes. In the SPD department, some of you get to sit down a whole lot, depending on what side you're on. Maybe not in decom, but in assembly, I've seen assembly, people don't even get up out their seat. Okay. And then in the OR, you may have somebody just got out of a 7-hour surgery on their feet, exhausted.
Yes.
And so when they're talking to you, a lot of time it's not frustration to you or not wanting to work with you. It's maybe like, hey, I'm too tired to be dealing with going back and forth with you telling me that you're busy. And so when I'm putting myself and having empathy, putting myself in the other person's shoes, it allows for me to actually try to consider their point of view, because their perspective is also a portion of the truth. Your perspective is also a portion of the truth. Imagine if you get both of you all's perspective and you tie it together. You may find a whole truth there. And those are the things that we must consider as you're continuously growing as a leader. So as we conclude this amazing podcast, there's a thing I want to bring up before we get to the final things. SPD 911 will be getting its own podcast, so you won't have to go through Bread to Lead to get it. It'll be SPD 911 on all platforms starting here in a couple of weeks. I'm just going to keep reminding you so that when you're looking for this specific sterile processing information, you'll be able to find it there. And the hopes are that we can help that one also become top 100 in the country in the information that we have. So when we end, for those of you all that do not know, have never listened to our podcast, we always end with one thing that'll keep you coming back for more in the industry that we call sterile processing. So DJ, you're up. What is one thing that you would love to tell somebody that is like, hey, DJ, I hear what y'all are saying.
Yeah.
I'm not a leader though. And I'm trying to drive this point, and it doesn't feel like they're listening. What's the one thing that you can tell that person and not give up?
Of course, don't give up, but utilize your resources. Utilize a journal. All of us are equipped with cell phones, and there are so many different apps that you can use to take notes, to, like Dr. Jake mentioned earlier, document everything and being able to capture things in real time in a moment as an opportunity to reflect on what happened, what transpired, or what was happening in that moment that you need to recall. So get in the habit of writing things down, sending emails, connecting with your upline so that they could always be involved and aware of the challenges you're facing. And don't give up. Understand you were called to this profession, you got in it, you knew what to expect from your job description. And if you are not aware of your job description, let's recall that. See if you can work with your HR team to get a copy of it to ensure that you are doing the things related to what you were hired to do. And again, can't mention it enough. Get you a mentor, get you someone that you could outside of work that you can just bounce ideas off of situations, scenarios that can help you navigate through tough times and difficult moments and give you advice on how to make those tough decisions so that you can make sound, clear decisions that'll help you long term. That's all I got.
And so with that, in finding a mentor or someone to partner with, come to Scrub Ball, our conference every year in June that we have. Find your mentor there. There's nothing but leaders that come to be better at what they do. Come and meet DJ and come and meet Sharon Greene-Golden in the flesh in Dallas, Texas. Go to scrubball.org. Scrubball.org. It's going to be somewhere around here somewhere. SGG. My question to you is for the leader that is continuously telling their team that I have something on the way, but their upline is not allowing for that something to be on the way, meaning help, cavalry, something. What can that leader do to get through to their upline to continue to talk about the needs of providing that support?
First of all, as a leader, I learned along the way to be very transparent with my team. I'm not making any promises I can't keep. I'm not going to sugarcoat that there's not a fire and the fire is on its way. So as a leader, if I say that I am working on, for instance, getting some more help, and I'm talking to HR, to the C-suite about the help, I keep my team aware of where we are. I'm very honest with them. I've done all the paperwork. I've put in all the requisitions. I've done everything I'm supposed to do for us to get help. HR is doing their part. I let people know where the ball is on the court. And when you keep people aware, honestly, transparently, then they know you're doing what you can do. I don't have so much power. If I had the power to give everybody an extra $10 an hour, I would, but that's not the power that I have. What I can do is let the administration, HR, know that we are not being paid what we should be paid, and could they go and do what they call a cost analysis across the area, across the states, and see where we are. And then I let the team know that's what I've done. But I think honesty is always going to be the best practice when it comes to that. And I have, and people say, Miss Golden, everybody's not you. I don't know why they say that, because it's not about me. It's about being willing to step outside the box. I have gone to my direct report and said, would you come to the SPD and let them know where we are on getting more people? I've told them what I've done. I've explained my part, but it would be helpful if you would come and explain how my part works with your part and where we are. And I've gone as far as we've done that to where I've gone and said to the CEO, would you please come to SPD? And you've explained it to me that we can't hire nobody. And I've told this to the SPD. They're still looking at me out the side eye. Could you please come down and take a moment to talk to these employees and tell them where we are in getting help, why we aren't getting any help right now, and what you expect us to do, to hold on, to stand. Help is coming and when it's coming. Because I've done all I can. And as you started off earlier, Dr. Jake, saying your children are holding a coup. I have been held in a coup with employees, and that's not a good feeling. And usually I'm in the coup by myself. And I went to administration and said, I don't know why I'm in the coup. I don't have the power. Could you come and tell the people why we don't have any help? We're holding the wall. We're holding the wall. But when you tell people truthfully where we are, then they can make a conscious decision as to where they want to be. Because when you get people who are disgruntled, unhappy, they don't do good work. And we can't have bad work in the field that we work in. We need to always have the best work possible because we are impacting patients' lives. So leaders, don't carry all of that on your shoulders. Do your due diligence according to the rules of engagement for getting more help. And then kick the ball up to the next group and let them help you explain to your team why you all are still stagnant and haven't moved. That's the best advice I can give. And then to the team, you say to the team, we're going to hold the wall. We make a decision. We're going to hold the wall. They say they're getting us some help. We're going to stand here and do our best job while we wait for help.
And I think that what comes to mind, SGG, is it's better to be respected than to be liked. And what happens is we have a lot of leaders in the spirit of wanting to be liked and wanting to have it easy, where everyone is like, hey, excited to see you. We tell them anything they want to hear, anything to get them off our back, anything to just pass the baton, versus respect. It says, I'm going to tell you what you have to hear. Because I don't want you to believe I'm holding you up. And I also don't want you to believe that I'm some superhero that you can't become or be like. I want to be as level playing ground as it can. Just like when we're running our organization here, there are sometimes I'm more tough because it's required for me to be direct than for you to think that I'm playing when it comes to likability. And it made me research something, SGG. It says, while being liked is pleasant, it's often more beneficial to be respected, as respect fosters real trust, genuine relationships, and long-term success in various aspects of life, including leadership and business. Respect is earned, not given. Unlike likability, which is superficial, respect requires genuine effort, integrity, and demonstrated value, meaning I had to see you do it. That's right. And then respect leads to trust. Respect leads to more sustainability. Respect is crucial for leadership. Respect can be a source of strength. Respect can lead to better business outcomes. So when we're talking about respect, there's a lot of us that are extremely liked. But when you ask for something for your department, you'll realize you're not respected.
That's true. And I just went back to my former hospital last week. I dropped back. And one of the things that was said was that, do you remember when the vice president said, Golden held us to a standard? We didn't always like it, so she held us there. And the standard has changed.
The golden standard. Ooh, I like that. The golden standard.
And I told you all that, y'all didn't like, and like you said, Dr. J, y'all didn't like me. But now y'all like, oh Lord, we wish you was back because we knew what the standard was. We don't know where the line is anymore.
That's right.
We're doing things we know we shouldn't do.
That's right.
And I'm like, because I wasn't there to be liked. And Dr. J, one of the things I said was, if you let me, I have integrity. I'm going to do my best as your manager to make sure you have what you need. But I'm not here to be liked. That's right. I'm not here for friends. Now, if we friends, that makes our job a little better.
Yeah,
But I got some friends outside the hospital.
that's
So
right.
don't worry about it. I'll be all right.
I'll
You
be
know,
okay.
I'm
Yeah,
here to make sure we get a job done for our patient.
that's
And
right.
so I'm not here to be your best. Don't invite me to the birthday party. I'll be okay. Go out on Friday and drink a beer. Don't invite me, because how you gonna talk about me if I'm there? So bottom line is, I'm here to get a job done, and respectfully, I'm here to make sure you get what you need. And so I'm the manager. It's like children and parents. And my mother said, I will always be the mother, and you will always be the daughter.
That's right.
That's the
That's
line,
right.
right?
Yep. And even when you talk about building friendships, if your friends, when you get between those lines of work, can't elevate you back to that respected level, there is
Mhm.
something that you're doing in that space that's chipping away at at the way that they view you. So if
Yes.
you can't control how you are outside them doors and still be able to command respect, it is best for you to keep your friends at home and to
Mhm.
keep your work colleagues and associates
Yes.
in between those lines that you consider SPD. DJ, you got one more? You good?
No, sir, I'm good. Y'all brought
All
it
right.
home.
That is SPD 911 with Derrick Jones, Sharon Greene-Golden, Dr. Jake Taylor Jacobs, and we are representatives of SIPS Healthcare Solutions, here to not only provide you guidance and support, but to tell you the cold-blooded truth,
That's
because
right.
that's what we need in order to become who we want to become. Peace. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Already alone.